TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Everybody knows how fast the world is changing, and the change is a must. And if we are not learning, I mean all of us, we cannot have success in military, in business, in anywhere. So we have to be able to learn even better than our competitors are.
Hi, and welcome to Deep Leadership. I'm your host, John Rennie. Well, I hope all is well with you today. I want to welcome you to our 250th episode, and I want to thank you for all your support over the years. You have helped make this podcast a top-performing show, so thank you very much. This episode today is brought to you by our sponsors, Habit Stack, Ignite Management Services, and Liberty Strength. These sponsors help me bring these shows to you each and every week, so I encourage you to click on their links below and check them out. I also want to encourage you to join us on our growing YouTube channel. Search for Deep Leadership on YouTube for videos of all my interviews and exclusive content. Today we're going to be talking about transformational leadership, and my guest is Dr. Vesa Nissinen. Vesa is a retired colonel from the Finnish military and the founder and president of Deep Lead, Inc. He develops leaders through his Deep Lead program, which is based on transformational leadership research. Now, this was a fascinating discussion. I love the subject of transformational leadership, and Vesa really helps us understand it. So I know you're going to enjoy this show. So are you ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Welcome to Deep Leadership. Leadership is a people business. That's the philosophy of your podcast host, John Rennie. As a former Cold War submarine officer who spent 20 plus years leading businesses in corporate America before starting his own manufacturing business, he knows that leadership matters. Are you ready for some real-world actionable advice from John as well as his expert guests?
I'm ready.
The show starts right now.
Welcome to the Deep Leadership Podcast. Today I'm joined by Dr. Vesa Nissinen. Vesa is a founder and president of Deep Lead Incorporated, where he develops leaders through his Deep Lead program, which is based on transformational leadership research. He is a retired colonel from the Finnish military, and I am excited to have him on the show to learn about his approach to transformational leadership. So Vesa, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity. I'm delighted. Thank you.
I'm excited to meet you and talk about your program and the things that you've developed for leaders. So first of all, tell us about Deep Lead Incorporated. What does your company do for leaders?
That's a very good question, because many people think that Deep Lead is a theory, which it's not. Deep Lead is actually a very practical program, and we simply help leaders to learn. And anything that's all the things that are really important, it's feedback and learning. So our main tool is a personal feedback tool. It's based on transformational leadership. And then we use it and we help people to analyze it, to make goals. And then we are working with the people. We are coaching them. We are not leaving them alone. We work with them. We help them to create a learning path. We measure again, because you have to be measurable results. We set the goals again, and that's how we work. Yeah, so it's a learning program, and feedback tool is the hub of the approach. Yes.
Okay, and I think you have a program called the Deep Lead program, right? I think that's what you were just describing. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that process. What does it look like? And you mentioned that there's this feedback portion that you get the feedback. So the leader then I'm assuming takes and makes changes. They make improvement, then you measure again. So maybe talk us through what that process is like.
It comes from the name, actually, the Deep Lead. It's a very short version from the Deep Leadership. Leadership part, it's straight from Transformational Leadership. the ideas, the content, what's really important in behaviors. And deep, where deep comes from deep learning theory, and originally formulated by Ferenc Marton, who's a Swedish researcher, but also, starting from Jack Mesirol's transformative learning and whatever. There's a strong background. And I need to explain a little bit what's deep learning is. It's really something that if you only repeat things in your memory, like we did in the school a lot, to me it's surface learning. You're not really maybe deeply understanding, but you can repeat something. But learning for leadership, if it's true, and if it's really changing your behaviors, it has to be deep. It has to go into the level of your values, your attitudes, your motives, and you have to deeply understand and also respect the goals you are setting to yourself. And that will bring the motivation to be able to change your behaviors. And I think it's not only leadership, to be honest. If you want to change your way of life, your eating habits, for example, or whatever, you need to have a strong motivation, and then you have to just follow your goals. The goal setting is not difficult, actually, but to keep it in mind every day, every hour, all the time, that I need to behave in a little bit different way. It's a lot of motivation and good program. So deep is really important because we are the only ones who can change ourselves. Nobody else can do it for us.
Yeah, I find that fascinating, and I agree with that approach. And I love how you parallel that with anything like fitness or eating healthy. It's developing the habits. So you have to change as you mentioned, your values, your attitudes, what's your motivators, and then you say this is the way it's going to be going forward. You have these positive habits, and that's how you get yourself fit. That's how you eat right. But it's also how you become a better leader. You develop good leadership habits, and through this process, I assume.
Yeah, and actually, it's not precisely so that I need to change what's really deep inside me. I have to understand it, because I also have to approve myself as a good person in the beginning. Because only people who actually are in balanced situation are able to naturally deal good with the feedback. And people who have a lot of broken things inside, they have a lot of difficulties with even, handling the feedback. So understanding myself, and what's really important to understand that things that have been happening to me, my experiences, actually they have been shaping a lot my behaviors. And what I'm now, it's actually reflecting the things that happened to me. So it's not only me that is in the center what comes to the experiences, it's the environments where I've been and how they have been shaping me as a person I am. And understanding all of that is approving of things, and then also understanding that if I go in another environment or set to myself another goals, I can also shape myself in a way that it's more intentional, and this is not like a doom. This is like also there are positive things inside. Yeah. So that's why I need a little bit time in coaching. I need to go through this, half a day or one day to really understand with people what I'm looking for with the word deep. And that's the only, let's say, theoretical thing we need in the coaching. After that, everything is only purely practical things. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So we were talking before we got started, before we press record, this program that you have, the Deep Lead program, is based on transformational leadership. So talk a little bit about, when you discovered transformational leadership, and you and I both were talking about how sort of the light went on in our head when we first discovered transformational leadership. So maybe you can talk about your journey, when you discovered it, and why you based this program on transformational leadership.
Yes, there are really clear historical facts. After being 13 years in the military, I graduated from the General Staff course as a major, and I became the leadership instructor for Finnish cadets in our defense university. And that was 95. And I knew that my old experiences were not so nice, so I knew that I have a chance now to have influence on the system. If I can find something else for leadership, both content and especially about the learning and developing yourself as a leader, that was a kind of black hole. We didn't have anything on that area at that time in the leadership, curricula. It was really a black hole, to be honest. So I had this kind of beautiful opportunity. And just before I started, 95 in the summer, I was desperately looking around, where do I find something to grab on? Because I have to start in the 1st of September. And then there was a big, I think it was pure luck, or somebody upstairs was saying to me, hey, look at this. There was an article in our magazine about transformational leadership written by one of our foreign ministry officials who had been reading a book about that. And as you said, I was totally astonished. Hey, there's everything that's important in leadership. So transformational leadership, it hit me like a hammer. Yeah, it was. So I knew this is it. I don't have to invent any theory or any kind of background, because also the research base behind transformational leadership was already so strong that it was showing that this really is working, and you can find it in, for example, in all cultures. So it's also universal. And well, that was the starting case, and I created a new curricula for candidates concentrating only on transformational leadership and learning as a leader in practical way. And then 2 years after that, we had a new commander for the Finnish defense, very decisive one, and he likes the model. And then he said that this will be the model for all Finnish military, and it has been since 25 years used in all levels of Finnish military. So we have 200,000 guys in Finland, and also women, not only in the military, but through my company, who got trained with my program. And comparing our 5.5 million population, that's a big number, 200,000.
That's fantastic. And I'm so glad that you had that light bulb moment like I did when I discovered transformational leadership, because I think it does make a big difference. One of the things I struggled with, a lot of people used to ask me before I really became an academic, before I worked on my doctorate, they'd say, what describe your leadership style? And I would always kind of default to servant leadership. Servant leadership, very popular model. And I always thought that that's what I was a servant leader. But one of the things that I see as a difference between servant leadership and transformational leadership is, servant leadership is the people focus, and you're supporting the people, you're taking care of your people. But I think what I saw the difference is transformational leadership looks at not just the people, but also the mission, the objective of the organization. So you're working to raise the level of people and to meet the objectives of the business. There's an and, so it's the people and the mission. And all that I've ever done in my career has been focused on the people and the mission. So it's always been those two things. And for the first time when I saw transformational leadership, it was talking about transforming both. In other words, achieving both of those objectives together. And it finally made sense to me. And I don't know if that was similar to you, where it sort of made sense that you're looking to raise the bar in terms of the performance of the business and the performance of the people.
Exactly. I think everybody can guess who's watching this broadcast to understand that I couldn't make this true in the military if I couldn't show them that this is bringing better results than the other models, because that's very serious business, and you have to be sure that you are training your leaders in the way that they are more effective in the battlefield. That's the main thing. And then after that, the model became so famous in Finland in a few years that I had to put out my own company 20 years ago, because people were really asking me to go out, not only telling, but start training and coaching. So I had to make a company and I get people doing this, because this really became really famous in Finland in a very short time.
That's so exciting to hear. And it's interesting how it sort of had its genesis in the military. Or it had a genesis in you needed to have a program. You found an article, you discovered it, you created a systematic way of teaching it, and then it became, it took on a life of its own inside of Finland, which is fantastic. And it's so good to hear. And again, listeners, if you're listening into this, you never know when we talk about leadership ripples. You leave positive ripples where you go. And if you can leave a positive influence, you never know where that ripple is going to go. And it sounds like for you that you create a lot of positive ripples as And when you discovered this, rolled it out, and then people realized its potential within both the military and the business side in Finland.
Exactly. That's you said it. You're right. I can only agree what you said. Yeah.
So, getting back to your program, specifically the Deep Lead program, why would you say it's so effective, and why do you think it's better than other programs in leadership?
I think mainly all the programs still now, but especially when I started the business, I made my PhD. I was concentrating on the problems of that time, 20 years ago. What problems the current programs had, and we still have the same kind of difficulties. Many people, many coaches and programs, they concentrate on describing what is good leadership, and because it's so clear. Everybody who has some brains and heart here in the right place, it's obvious what is good leadership. But the question for me has always been how to get there. How can I develop my behaviors in a way that I'm closer? I will never be perfect, but I can get closer to that ideal, combining the very servant leadership for people and also great achievement of our goals and mission at the same time. That's the point. So this program is really concentrating on the learning. So we use only some hours explaining the cornerstones, like I speak about the cornerstones of transformational leadership: appreciation, trust, enthusiasm, and learning. And then people say, or actually I ask people, tell me what is good leadership, and we formulate together these 4 cornerstones. What else theory you need? Nothing? Okay, let's go forward. And now only thing I need to explain is that why actually we need feedback to be able to improve our leadership. And then we go to the discussion about who's defining whether we are good leaders or not. And of course, it leads to the conclusion that, of course, it's the people around me. It's not me or my mother who says that Vesa is a very nice boy. Maybe she's thinking so, but it's the people around me, especially the people I'm leader for. So, and the fact is that since we are social creatures like we are not showing what we really think. We are hiding a lot of things. I cannot really be sure what people are thinking because there are so many different social obstacles for direct feedback, to be honest. That's only by using this kind of feedback tool so that anonymity is guaranteed and all the people can answer how they really feel. I can have an honest picture of really how people see my leadership. And then analyzing that and combining it to the operating environment and understanding that they are in relationship. It's not very easy thinking. Actually, it's a very complicated thinking process. What I ask people to do. But then they always can find something that you can change in your behaviors. And behaviors are something that you really can change. You are not able maybe to change your natural tendencies, whatever, but many things are very simple. They are very simple behavioral things. They are not like mystical things or something that is too deep to change. Something might be, but if you try to work on it, it doesn't go on, then you choose another goal next year. So come on. And so my program is very practical, only a few hours of finding out what's important and then directly going to the feedback process, collecting the feedback, very, very easy, used, nice tool. Of course, it's now digital and working internet already 20 years. And then when you have it, then you have a long discussion with the coach to make sure that you really understand how you should read it, so that you don't rush into wrong conclusions, because there are people who have seen thousands of those, which I have as my coach. So helping people to relax, to feel good with the feedback, even if it's a little bit critical, as it normally is in some parts. And then helping people to create a development plan. And the key and the hub of the plan is one sentence, only one sentence, setting only one goal for 1 year, only one thing.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Leadership skills are like any other skills. You need to practice them to get better at them. Best-selling leadership author John S. Rennie knows this. That's why he's written a new book called You Have the Watch. It's a guided journal for leaders designed to take you through an entire year of leadership training. By the end of the year, you will master 50 of the most important leadership skills. If you want to have a greater impact on the results and people in your organization, go to youhavethewatch.com and pick up your copy today.
This episode is brought to you by Habit Stack. Effective leaders make a habit of working on important goals, no matter how busy they feel. Habit Stack software helps leadership teams build that habit. The system guides you to set crystal clear goals, align your tasks to those goals, and make progress every week. I use Habit Stack and I absolutely love it. It's such an easy tool to use, and I love how it reinforces the right habits with my leadership team. Habit Stack is free to use. It's so simple that you get the hang of it in just 5 minutes. Go to habitstack.com to get started. This episode is brought to you by Ignite Management Services. Ignite is led by Mike Watson, who you might remember from episode 137. Mike and his team believe that everything starts with leadership. Whether it's strategy execution or cultural transformation, it's the role of the leader to create the conditions for their people to succeed. The team at Ignite can help you develop critical habits to enhance your leadership capability and transform your business. Ignite Management is now offering the Resilient Leadership Assessment Tool. This is an online questionnaire designed to assess and guide leadership development, coaching, and team building. It provides leaders an opportunity to gain insights into their leadership strengths and development needs. After taking this assessment, you will receive a custom, detailed report that provides practical and actionable recommendations to enhance your effectiveness. I have taken this assessment myself and found it to be extremely valuable in helping me make changes to my leadership approach. Right now, Ignite is offering 15% off the price of this tool to the deep leadership audience. Go to ignitemanagement.ca and enter the code START15 at checkout to get started today. This episode is brought to you by Jeremy Klebinger at Liberty Strength. As a high-performing leader, you know that leadership isn't about telling people what to do, it's about leading by example. And for most people, the one area that they are lacking when it comes to leading by example is their health and fitness. By improving your health and fitness, every other area of your life improves. Your energy skyrockets, your sleep improves, your confidence increases, and more. But how can you get and stay fit as a busy leader? Well, you do what you've always done. You hire the best people for the job. Don't struggle on your own. Put Liberty Strength in your corner. Jeremy and his team will work with you to take your physique, mindset, nutritional habits, and more to the next level with his step-by-step, all-inclusive coaching program. I've worked with Liberty Strength for the past 2 years, and I'm in the best shape of my life, and I'm still hitting strength personal records at 56 years old. If you want to step up your game, reach out to Jeremy at libertystrengthtx.com to find out more and get your initial consultation scheduled with him today. You're seeing me smiling because I love this.
Yeah.
We tend to try to do too many things. I love what you just said. One sentence, one goal.
Exactly.
1 year.
And we call it development sentence, of course, different languages. You might do it. And then it might be like stop and listen to your people, or clear out the goals better, or, show your own motivation by participating more, whatever. One thing. And it's so practical that you know what it means. And actually, you have to tell it to your people as well so that they can support you in working on this. And it's open goal. And that's actually really challenging sometimes. It is challenging our current culture of people tend to hide certain things, and this is like opening. You have to open up yourself for your own people. And for example, the military, you can understand that this was really, really a new culture when it happened, and there was also a lot of criticism, of course, because not all the people were very happy about this kind of thinking. But then, my final reasoning for this process is that, hey, everybody knows how fast the world is changing, and the change is a must. And if we are not learning, I mean all of us, we cannot have success in military, in business, in anywhere. So we have to be able to learn even better than our competitors are or our opponents. We have to learn better. Then we win the battles. Then we win the, markets. Then we win all the things. We have to be better learners than the others. And what is the main task for a leader? To set example. And if you combine these two things, learning and set example, what does it mean? I have to show my own example. How do I learn? And this is the most powerful way to set my own example. Be humble and say, hey, I'm not perfect. I know that there are many things I'm good at, but for you, I want to learn even more. I want to set this goal and I want to be a better leader for you. It's very powerful.
It's so powerful. And one of the things, I spent 22 years working for 3 global companies, and one of the things I saw was some of one of the behaviors I saw from leaders is a lot of it was fear. There was a lot of fear of being, it was fear of losing your job, fear of looking bad, fear of looking like you don't know what you're talking about. And so there was a lot of fear-based decisions. But one of the things I noticed is that there was a lot of arrogance in leaders where they said, I'm the boss, I know everything. And so what you're saying is just the opposite. You're saying you have to be willing to say that, yes, I'm not perfect. I need to learn, and I'm going to learn and set an example for learning, because we want our employees to learn. We want our employees to get better. So we have to demonstrate that as an example to show that we are also humble in learning. We're not perfect. I always say that leadership is a lifelong process. Maybe you learn it in a year, but it takes a lifetime to really, truly master it because there's so many elements to it. So I really like this approach, this idea of demonstrating the ability to learn and also set the example for your teams. I think that's really important. And I think this is probably the biggest thing I see wrong with many bosses is that they don't have a humble approach. They assume that they got the promotion, they're the vice president, so they assume they know everything, which is not all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And just a very short story how this is was challenging the Finnish military culture. In year 96, just 1 year after I started the process with cadets, I knew already that it's working because their feedback was just perfect. Beautiful. There was an incident in the academy. Something happened in the exercise, and then the principal, Navy guy, Rear Admiral, called me to his room because I think he liked me and he wanted to give me an advice as an older officer. And he told me in a serious way that I had made a mistake because I was saying to my people in that exercise, or my soldiers who were cadets, that I made a mistake. And I was saying that I'm sorry that I have been making a mistake. And he told me that a good officer never says that I made a mistake. Remember that. Oh. Okay, sir. So that is exactly very good example of the difference of the old school leadership.
Yeah.
That is that you have to pretend that you are perfect, and not this kind of leadership that is true and honest way to see that we are only humans. Me, you, everybody else, we are only humans, and it's really stupid to pretend that we are not making mistakes. Every day we make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely, and and I think there's a couple of things there. One is, yes, as leaders, we need to be competent, right? So we have to actually be skilled in what we do, right? So whether you're leading, with you're like a submarine officer, or you're leading our army troops, or you have to know your job, right? But you also have to be humble enough to say that I need to keep getting better. I need to keep learning. I'm not perfect. I still have work to do. And I think those are your best leaders, the ones that are competent, but yet they're humble enough to say that I can get better. I might be decent at my craft, but this is something I need to continue to develop and learn and get better at if I want to be more effective.
Yeah, exactly. You should understand that when you go up to the ladders of leadership, when you are getting positions that are higher and higher, and you have more and more people under your command, or you are responsible, or you're making results with, the more your work is only purely leadership and not anymore being an expert.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes very difficult for people to understand. You have to skip your thinking that you are the expert. You have to understand that leadership is everything. It's your way to give your, but you have to keep it for the organization. And some people, they just are not letting out this kind of expertise thinking. And it's very, also, I met the same case in my work. Many say, I want to do this and that, and it's not easy. Yeah.
That's so powerful. And now, as you've seen leaders, you've had thousands of leaders go through this program. What are some changes that you see that leaders make when they get this awareness of where there might be some gaps in their leadership, and then they take action? This idea of one sentence, one goal, 1 year. As they take action towards that. What kind of results have they seen? What kind of feedback do you get from these leaders who become aware that they need to make changes?
I believe in feedback. And when I started to do coaching to the civilian leaders and people already in the late 90s, I started the feedback process. I have been taking feedback every single day. I've been coaching people, how they relate to coaching, how they relate, of course, to me, how they see the process and the goals, and all the way. So I have a huge amount of feedback, giving me evidence how to develop this program, and also how to develop myself as a coach, not only as a leader, but as a coach. I've been really coaching thousands of people in this period of time. And I have really good understanding what I can do and what not. And if you think that we measure in our broker, we measure behaviors in 2 times, in the beginning, then after 8 months, for example, 8 months is typical, we do it again. And there has been the personal goal. You have set to this goal, helped by the coach, but it's your goal that, okay, I learned to listen better. And then we measure it again with the same tool. So you have really good way to understand, did I get to my goal? And my percentage, my succeeding percent is 70 in the long run. I know it exactly. So 70% of all the people I've been coaching, they reach their goal. They are able to change their behaviors. 70%. Okay, what is the 30%? There are many things, but only very few of them are not trying. Mostly also these people are trying, but there are changes in the environment. They have maybe some civilian life challenges, which is more important than the work, of course, value-based thinking in here. So there are many practical reasons why they are not maybe able to put all the effort on learning. Only very few of them, even zero, is saying that this is bullshit. I never meet this. If people think that, they don't say it to me. So transformational leadership is really powerful. It's really powerful because when you open up to people asking, hey, what is good leadership? Tell me, and we build up these 4 cornerstones. It's there. Nobody can say that it's my way of thinking. It's their way of thinking. They are creating this picture. And then we only start to think, hey, where I am, it's like a map. And I'm testing where I am, where I'm good at, and then maybe thinking that I could improve something in this map. Never being perfect, also be understanding that. Yeah. So that's true. 70% is my hit rate. Let's say it this way. Yeah.
One of the things I like about the system, the way you describe it, is that you're asking the followers about the leaders, on how effective the leader is. So a lot of times in companies, we promote people based on how good a follower they are. So in other words, the boss says, well, this person is good, I'm going to promote them. But they're observing that person as a follower, not as a leader necessarily. So they're saying, well, he or she follows all my rules. She does what I want. So they see it's a perspective of a leader looking at a follower. Whereas your method says you're going to get down to the followers and say, assess how the leader is doing from a follower's perspective, which is truly looking at the leadership skill set of that leader. And I think when you have a standardized system of doing it, now the upper managers can say, well, how is John doing as a leader based on what his followers say? So not based on what I think he's doing. And that's why it's a different way of looking at a leader. And I think it changes the viewpoint to a follower's perspective. And I think that's what I like about this program.
Yeah, of course. And our tool is, of course, 360-degree principle. So it's not only the followers, it's the colleagues, and also my boss is evaluating.
So it's the whole 360.
Yeah. Exactly. But when we open up this picture, can you imagine how much people learn from themselves and each other? And if my boss don't have the full, observation on which normally is the fact, my boss don't see how I really treat my people.
Yes.
So this is opening up many windows, and we understand things much better. So that's the way how we really affect also on the culture. And I have a saying that there are two main things, as we agreed. There's the goals and the mission, and then the people.
Yes.
But when my boss is looking me as a boss, he's first thinking about the goals.
Yes.
And then he's thinking, okay, how's treating the people? But how about from the other side?
Yes.
My followers, they always think what kind of leader I am. And after that, they think what kind of results I'm bringing. And it's obvious. But to understand these things and how they operate, it's a very healthy process for the whole organization. Very healthy. Yeah.
It is. I can see it's a major culture shift. It's a major shift in thinking. I can imagine in the early days in the military, when you were launching this program, you probably had people saying, "You're crazy. We're not going to ask the people."
That was maybe one of the most nice words they said about me.
Right. Exactly, because you're shifting. You're shifting the perspective to what it means to be a good leader, and I think and I like the fact that you're looking at it from the top and from the bottom. So you're getting the mission and the people, which is truly transformational leadership. So that's what I love about it. Vesa,
the last thing I want to say here is that we have strong evidence because we are measuring the military culture since that, and the change in Finnish military has been great. It's transformation of a culture.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And we need it desperately in the United States military, to be honest. We have a leadership problem right now in the U.S. military, unfortunately. And I know I'll probably get in trouble for those American military people listening in to this show, but I think we have a leadership problem, and we need this process to be able to change that culture, and so that we can focus on. We do a pretty good job in the U.S. military on mission. We don't do a good job on people, and we got to get that better. And so I think this kind of program would be fantastic for the U.S. military for sure. We desperately need it.
I've been studying there with your military. I know how they think. I know that this has been tested and analyzed for decades already. And also U.S. officers and military knows that this is effective, but to implement it, that is the challenge.
That is the challenge. Absolutely. What final message would you like to leave with our listeners?
It is maybe the thing that what I learned myself first, and it was big relief. You don't have to be perfect. When you say cheers to yourself every morning, it helps you a lot, because then you can get out of the unnecessary roles. You can be more like yourself, and then you have much more energy to be a good leader. When you are not pretending and protecting yourself and accepting the fact that I don't have to be perfect. I'm good enough.
I can't add any more to that. Fantastic summary. How can people find out more about you and your company?
Well, it's actually very easy. If you just write Deep Lead in the Google, it gives you all the information. So, of course, there are many things. And also now lately, some other people has found this word, deep lead. There's one guy from Canada, even writing a book.
Yeah,
I wrote to him, did you know that we have a trademark? Because we, of course, to make a business, we trademarked this deep lead process, tools, and other things. Also in the US, by the way, but also in Europe.
Yeah.
But in a very friendly way, because I believe in cooperation in any sense. But of course, just using Google, you can find all the things. And also, of course, I have my profile is in LinkedIn. It's updated because I work through LinkedIn. So
yeah, fantastic. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put links in the show notes for all these resources, and I highly encourage listeners, you check it out. It is Deep Lead Incorporated. It is not associated with Deep Leadership, our podcast, but we do think similar, and we're on a similar journey. But I really, really appreciate the work that Vesa, you're doing, because I think it's really important. You're changing. This podcast, we say our goal is to build a world with better bosses, and you're doing that. You're taking the action. You are making better bosses because of the work you're doing. So congratulations on the work that you're doing. And I think a lot of times we can read and we can try to understand, but you're taking it to action and helping people change through developing a program that works. So my hat's off to you. Thank you for what you're doing. And listeners, I encourage you to check out Vesa's resources that are in the links below and connect with him. If you found this conversation to be helpful, if you want to learn more information about transformational leadership and the Deep Lead program that he's launched, I highly encourage you to reach out to him and learn more. The only way you're going to get better is to take a step forward and learn from these programs that you're hearing about on this show. Vesa, thank you for coming on the show, and thanks for the work that you're doing.
It was my pleasure, deeply. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to Deep Leadership. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and share so we can continue to build a world with better bosses. Until next time, this is John Rennie saying take care and lead well.
Thank you for listening to Deep Leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, please visit our website at www.deepleadershippodcast.com or johnsrennie.com. Until next time, take care.
Welcome, explorers of the human experience. This is Let's Talk Soul, and I'm your host, Claudia Monticelli. We're not afraid of the great mysteries of existence here. Soul versus consciousness, we're on it. Spirituality versus science, we've got that covered too. Join us in navigating these profound topics with wisdom, curiosity, and a dash of audacity. Whether you're a spiritual veteran or just starting your journey, Let's Talk Soul is your passport to the unknown. Let's Talk Soul, diving into the depths of the human spirit. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, is that the set? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electric acid.